Good evening. I am Nicole Dagenar, and I am one of the juniors currently serving on the Executive Council. At this time, we would like to ask all juniors who are presenting a junior prophecy to the seniors to please form a line to the right of the podium. It's been a long tradition in the Indian Theater Department and on this evening of celebration to give our departing seniors one last goodbye. This is what we, the class of 2012, prophesy will happen to each of you after you leave the hallowed highs of KHS. I guess I'll go first. Read both of them? Okay. 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 I gotta get it. It's on my phone, sorry. Okay. Savannah Booth, will you stand up? After graduating Keller High School, Savannah will mosey on over to UNT, where she will be enlightened with knowledge and busy with studies. Maybe she will meet a man who makes everything perfect, or just Jared. Savannah will... Savannah will soon realize that UNT is not the place for her and will register for the Navy SEALs, but will be rejected because of her size. She will then pursue the career of a UFC fighter, but again will be rejected because of her size. Finally, she will settle for being a contestant on America's Next Top Model and win because of her size. Oh, I'm lost. Okay, enjoying the riches and luxuries, Savannah will invest in a documentary about herself called Not Quite But Kind of Sort of Famous, where she travels the country with different bands and hangs out. Getting tired of her stardom, Savannah will return to her roots, or should I just say, one of the many reservations where she will establish a mighty fine casino. I love you, Savannah.
Courtney Busboom, please stand. After graduating from Keller High School, Courtney will not go to college. She will stay at Keller to continue gaining thespian points. 10 years later, after reaching her goal of 1 million thespian points, Courtney will decide that it is time to move on and go to college. There she will major in theater. Courtney will go on to write, produce, and direct countless musicals and plays, all centered around inspiring children to join theater and drama. We're going to miss you, Courtney.
Oops. Sorry. Okay, Brady Tripp, will you please stand up? Yes. Okay. Okay, after 4 successful years at Collin Community College, Brady will graduate with a total of 38 tattoos and, of course, still the nicest guy in his class. Brady will get a job traveling with Van Halen as their sound guy until one day, Alex Van Halen walks in on Brady playing a little something-something on their drum set. In absolute disbelief, Alex bows down, walks away in defeat, and is never seen or heard from again. So of course, Brady replaces him. At their first concert, the crowd is going insane of excitement and curiosity, but Brady won't let the concert start until he knows for sure his grandmother is back from the bathroom. Something he was well known for doing at his high school performances. After many years of success, Brady decides that the life of the rich and the famous is too much for him to handle. Brady quits the band and moves to Italy, where he meets, dates, and then eventually marries a beautiful Italian tattoo artist named Francesca. They have 4 beautiful children, all of whom are musically inclined and incredibly smart. When the kids grow up and Brady and Francesca grow old, Brady decides to meet up with some old high school friends. He spends his days sitting around a campfire, eating fried rice and playing magic. Brady, I'm so glad you joined theater this year. You really are one of the sweetest guys in the department, and I'm going to miss you laughing at all my dumb jokes.
Oh, okay. That's better. Okay. Kyle Trost, will you please stand up? After Kyle graduates college with a degree in guidance counseling, he will return to Keller High, where he will be the head counselor to every student. Kyle will learn every student's name in the school so he can say hello to everyone, give them some words of encouragement, and then give them a hug, of course. Kyle will marry a woman who loves to hug just as much as he does, and they will have 2 kids that are just as nice, if not more so, and love giving hugs more than anything else. Once Kyle's kids are out of college, he will retire from his counseling job at Keller and work at Walmart as a greeter. He will say hello to everyone that walks in and out and give each of them a nice big hug. Regardless of what Kyle does, it will be done with lots of love and an abundance of hugs. Kyle, your daily words of encouragement and warm hugs will be dearly missed.
Will Daisy Thomas please stand up? When Daisy graduates from Keller High School, she immediately begins having withdrawals from her beloved Calculus BC class. After listening to her sobs during the night, her mother presents her with a new graphing calculator. Once she arrives at the University of Texas, she moves in with her sister Dayla and high school friend Katie Folger to study engineering. She quickly realizes what a big mistake it was due to the fact that Dayla has no problem boasting about how she's the most attractive person at UT. She plots revenge by pooping all over the carpet, a common habitual routine originating in her high school musical Guys and Dolls. After graduating top of her class, instead of giving the conventional speech, she decides to flip off her graduating class, walk off stage, and flee to Paris with wind. On the plane ride there, she bumps into Christina Aguilera, who offers her a dancing role in her next production. This results in Daisy pooping all over the plane. After her big debut, she decides to settle down and have 2 kids, who then become powerful redheaded politicians. At the age of 84, she is faced with a mugger who tries to steal her purse. Since redheads naturally feel less pain, she kills the mugger with her frail, arthritic hands. 2 weeks later, Daisy passes away, leaving the world with her last words, "Aw, I tooted and it smells bad." I love you, Daisy, and you will truly be missed. You have been someone to look up to all year and will go so far in life. I'm very grateful to be able to say that I know someone like you, and I'm confident that UT will become that much better of a place when you're there. Good luck with everything.
Is this the one? Okay. Emily Cross, will you please stand up? In 5 years, Emily Louise Cross will be elected and eventually inaugurated as America's first woman president. And at the age of 23, she'll be America's first president under the previously required age of 35. The government will decide to throw that law out the window because they're so impressed with Emily's charisma, intelligibility, staggering vocabulary, and the fact that every one of her presidential debates was done completely in slam poetry, which really just wiped out the competition. So in other words, not only will she be America's first woman president, but she'll also be a YouTube phenomenon. And as Emily's second term comes to an end, the public will demand an illegal 3rd term, and the government will allow it. Emily spends the rest of her life in office and will forever be known as the world's best human because she has 15 terms of presidency underneath her belt, 26 Nobel Prizes, and let's not forget those movie star good looks and winning personality.
Stephanie Peterson, please stand up. After she graduates from Keller High, the lovely Stephanie Peterson embarks on her college journey, taking classes on how to manage having the most beautiful voice in the world, a class that was created solely for her.
After she graduates from college, Stephanie decides to move to Disney World and become a Disney princess. Within the first day of working at Disney, she runs into her old friend, Brett Finholt, who got a job at Disney World in order to pick up girls that have a fond love for Disney movies. Year of princessing, Stephanie meets her Prince Charming, a man who has been in love with Stephanie since the first day he saw her. The two of them hit it off and he eventually proposes. But before Stephanie can accept, she braces herself and reveals to the prince her true identity, a Mormon. To her surprise, the prince was a Mormon as well, and the two of them move back to Keller, where Stephanie can be close to her family, and she and her prince create a family of their own. Stephanie, I love you more than I can say, and I hope that you have the happiest life, because it is without question that you deserve it.
Alec Dans. Please stand. A few days after graduating from Keller High School, Alec realizes he will be going to college in just a few short months. He jumps in his car and drives as fast as he can to the nearest car dealership, managing to get in only 3 car accidents along the way. He's fine, of course, and arrives at the dealership to sell his car. With money in hand, he notices a shopping mall behind him and proceeds to the nearest shoe store that sells his favorite brand of shoes. Alex spends all of his money buying every color that they had in Heelys. Now he is ready for college. The few short months pass quickly and he's on his way to OCU. His first few days are great. He had already been promoted to the head of the technical crew. As the days go on, Alec becomes more and more frustrated because the actors can never find where their lights are. Alec storms out of rehearsal, and he sees some guys in the courtyard that look remarkably like Duke Thomas and Alex Hogan playing a game of magic. He goes over and plays with them, and the 3 immediately become friends and spend their evenings in the prop shop having serious battles with every mythical creature. Alec continues his lighting career, and he eventually moves out of his brother Zach's house, and then gets married and settles down in Chicago, and continues as the only famous Jewish lighting director in the United States. Alec, you have done so many things for this department, and no one will ever replace your talents or your interesting personality. We are all extremely grateful for the work that you have done in the past few years. The shows would never happen if it weren't for you lighting every scene and building a prop the day of the show. The new techies have some serious shoes to fill. I hope you will come back and see the rest of us who are still at Keller High.
Katie Erickson, will you please stand up? After graduating, I mean the second after crossing the stage, Katie Erickson will immediately jump on the first flight back to her promised land. Where this might be, you may ask? California. Here she will blossom and pursue her childhood dreams by writing a self-help book titled, What is Life? I'll tell you. Or you can just move back to California because apparently everything is better there. In the years that follow, the world will see many natural disasters and horrible epidemics, and what will Katie do to help the support and cleanup effort? Nothing. She will just simply direct plays about them all, spreading awareness. After her stressful life, she will move back to California and retire in California and die in California, only to be buried underneath the California state flag. Love you, Katie Erickson.
Will Blakeman. After graduating from Keller High School, Will will trade the roar of his Mustang for the humming of a smart car, trying to be environmentally friendly and save on gas. William will enroll in college, but soon realize that is not the path he is meant to take. He decides to apply to a restaurant, where, upon entry, his smile brings everyone in the building to tears of joy. He is immediately hired. Will begins to make movies on the side, and eventually trades his apron for a sport coat and begins a documentary of his life. It is simply William's heart-melting voice that is heard through the entirety of the movie, and all we see on the screen is darkness. The documentary of his life becomes the only movie to make more money on opening night than all of the Star Wars films' opening nights combined. Will dies shortly after, however. Nobody knows why, but the speculation is that his heart could no longer take the constant excitement and joy that everybody around him felt from being in his presence. We'll miss you, Will.
Alrighty, Brett Finholtz. Alright. The day of graduation, Brett will hurry home, immediately put on his dance belt, and spend hours looking at himself in the mirror. His favorite place to be. After a long summer of shopping at PacSun and experimenting with various Kate Gosselin-like hairdos, Brett moves to Florida and gets a job impersonating characters at Disney World in hopes to impress girls. Though this works, Brett is not happy and moves to New York, where he runs into his long-lost friend, Molly Franco. They fall in love, and after only 3 weeks of dating, they get married. A few years later, they have 3 kids, one named P, one named Sean, and the other McCrae. Though Molly is successful and happy in New York, Brett can't help but feel empty inside. So he decides to move back where he feels most at home, Keller. He shaves his head, gets many intimidating tattoos, and replaces the head director of the Keller High School Indian Theater Department. Each year, Brett attempts to recreate Richard III, casting himself as Richard, of course. But yet each year, nothing feels as good as it did those long and successful months in 2010. As Brett grows old, too old to stand up and perform for himself, he spends his days in his rocking chair watching Dumb and Dumber and mouthing every single word with precise inflection. And when the tragic day comes where Brett passes, the world feels a little less entertained. Brett, no matter how many times you fart in my face, and no matter how many times you hit on my mom, you're still one of my favorite people in this world, and I'm definitely going to miss you next year.
Jake Godek. Don't. Not that bad. All right. Jake will graduate college and pursue a career as an Edward Cullen lookalike / eyebrow model and big booty model. Later, he will marry and have a child who will be famous for having the largest eyebrows ever to be seen on a newborn. After Jake gets too old to be a model, he will get back together with the boys, and they will start up their band again. But his wife will force him to find a real job, so Jake will reconnect with Alex Holguin, and together they will run for president and vice president. Their slogan will be, "It is what it is, vote Mr. God and be a straight-up G." Sadly, Jake will not win because his reform plans include sitting around a campfire with the boys singing Mumford and Avett Brothers songs and saying, "It's whatever." Jake will then retire from politics and audition for musicals within his community, where his costumes will continue to be too tight. Once he realizes that he's 65 and can no longer dance like he once could, he will then permanently retire to a nursing home, where he will live with his wife and the boys and will forever be a straight-up G. Jake, we will miss your charming and sassy ways and cannot wait to see what all you do and how far you go in life.
Amanda, you know what to do. Okay. Soon after high school, Amanda McDaniel will enroll into West Texas A&M University, but will drop out mid-semester because it's not indie enough, and she realizes that she's literally too cool for school. So, with nothing to do, Amanda just wanders through the woods in their free times until one day she will stumble upon Du Bois and one of their campfire sing-alongs. And she joins them and even plays the instrument of choice, the ukulele, because they're cute and a lot less mainstream than regular-sized guitars. Amanda will celebrate her 19th birthday by getting dreadlocks and one of those mustache finger tattoos. But sadly, with the lack of a college degree, Amanda is forced to retire to the mountains and live solely off the fruit of the land. And eventually she marries a friendly neighborhood lumberjack, and then she realizes this is the life that she's always wanted. Amanda, we love you.
Duke Thomas. When Duke Thomas graduates from Keller High School, he will make the move to Georgia with his family and to begin his future. There, he will meet his soulmate, Shatoya, at the local chicken outlet. After 2 weeks, they move in together and spend their days watching Yo Gabba Gabba and playing Dungeons & Dragons. Even though this is years after his senior one-act play, Complete Female Stage Beauty, he is still wearing his slippers that he wore in the show. Life with Shatoya is good until she realizes how cranky he is in the morning when he throws objects at her face. After mourning over the fact that she will never have mixed African-American Asian babies, she moves out, leaving Duke alone with no source of income. Duke is found on the street months later in a house of magic cards, the only thing he has left. Fortunately, he lands a job at a recording studio for his unusually deep voice. He is a successful voiceover man until he bumps into Shatoya 10 years later at a fruit stand, who punches him in the voice box for ruining her dream of mixed babies. Duke works paycheck to paycheck after that event, but manages to get by. He finally reaches the age of living in a retirement home, and shortly after dies peacefully in his sleep with his one-act slippers on his feet and his collector's edition magic card in hand. It was truly a pleasure meeting you, Duke, and you really brought something amazing to this department. You're amazing and you do awesome things in life. We'll miss you.
Andrew Gallup. Once Andrew Gallup graduates from Keller High School, he says goodbye to his cats, his Xbox, his girlfriend Emily, and his beloved Buckleys. He then makes his way to OU, to fulfill his passion of musical theater. After 4 years of Seussical, Godspell, 13, and Guys and Dolls, Andrew makes the big move to New York. And after only 6 months of auditioning and waiting tables, he lands the lead role in a new Broadway musical called The Whiner, for which he was cast based on his striking similarities to the lead character. The show was nominated for the 2016 Best Musical Tony Award, and Andrew gets to perform at the Tonys in the musical's show-stopping number, Come On, Guys. Later that night, Andrew wins the Tony for Best Actor in a Leading Role, but, once again, forgets to mention the show's directors in his acceptance speech. Angrily, the directors threaten to take away his Tony, to which he responds, I don't care, I have 2 Buckleys. Andrew's musical theater career continues on until he is reunited with his high school sweetheart, Emily Burke, at Molly Franco's wedding to Jonathan Groff. That night, he proposes, and the two of them move to Emily's grandparents' farm in Canton, where they have 2 children named Molly and Brett. Andrew, though you do have your whiny moments, it is without question that you are one of the sweetest and most talented guys around. We all love you and will miss you dearly. Go do great things.
Victor Holguin. After graduating from Keller, Victor Holguin will disappear. Some will say he has died, others that he is deep in the mountains playing D&D with a group known only as the Ugies. And still others believe that he is simply wearing his one ring, making him invisible. But 20 years pass, and Victor reappears just in time for presidential elections, with his old friend Mr. God, also known as Jake Godek. Victor will win the elections. Immediately after being sworn into office, though, he makes the announcement that he is straight up going to quit, just to prove a point. He leaves the podium, puts on the ring, and is never heard from again. But every now and then, there are sightings of a man with a crown atop his head and a sword at his side, who is rumored to be sitting astride a very high horse. We will miss our straight-up G, Victor Alexander Holguin.
Nathan Burke. After graduating from Keller High School, Nathan will make his way towards Ole Miss. His first year, he will be involved in musical theater, of course, but also several English classes just so he can correct everyone's spelling and pronunciation of words, including the teachers. Nathan continues to study theater and is even cast as Mark in the off-Broadway production of Rent. He also develops the reputation of that guitar guy with a really cool music taste. This boosts Nathan's ego, and he decides to move back to Keller so he can drive to South Lake every day and play his guitar for a living. While in the middle of belting a John Mayer song, Nathan is mesmerized by a girl watching him. At age 22, Nathan will marry his 18-year-old girlfriend. They end up having 2 wonderful children who are musically talented and want to grow up to be just like their dad, performing on stage. This encourages Nathan to go back to the theater but still play guitar on the side, and he finally gets cast as Roger in the Broadway production of Rent. This incredible role causes Nathan and his family to move to New York, where he spends several years on the Broadway stage. Nathan, I know I'm not speaking alone when I say you will be missed an incredible amount on the Keller stage. I've heard several people say that you're their role model, and just because you're leaving doesn't change that. I know you will do amazing things in your life, so don't change a bit. Go rock that Mississippi stage, make us all proud, and be sure to drop by every now and then. You will be missed.
Last one. Garrett Morgan. After leaving the halls of Keller High School, Garrett goes to college to pursue a career in music. After graduating with top honors and 3 girlfriends, Garrett begins to teach himself to play various instruments on top of what he already knows how to play. Eventually, after 50 long, frustrating, and grueling days, Garrett has learned to play, with great talent, every instrument known to mankind. He is soon bored out of his mind, so he invents his own instruments. This, sadly, is what becomes the death of him. When they found Garrett, he had uncountable lacerations all over his body from what appeared to be guitar strings that were attached to a motor and a statue of a monkey. Garrett's dying words are that he likes words. We're going to miss you, Garrett.